Good evening. How does that? Everybody hear me? Okay. Thank you for inviting me to join you tonight at this dinner for democracy. Right now, we are facing an existential crisis in America. And in moments like this, we are called to stand up, to show up, and to fight for our democracy. Because if we fail to answer this call right now, I fear that in just a few short years, future dinners for democracy may be more aptly named the wake for democracy. We cannot let that happen. As I was preparing my remarks, I found myself revisiting words I had written for past events. And as I read them, I began to notice something I hadn't fully realized at the time that I wrote them. So many of the speeches carried an undertone of sadness. I spoke of the darkness of this time, the sorrow of this age. And sitting there last night at a hotel room in Verona, New York, I came to understand something deeper. The sadness in those words was echoing a sadness in my soul. Now, I am not known for being an emotional person. My wife will confirm that. This is a character flaw, and my wife will also confirm that. But regardless, it is simply not my nature. And yet, there is a sadness in my heart. 1 month ago, I was sitting in a living room in Plattsburgh at an event hosted by our host this evening, J.J. Murnane. I was answering questions about the challenges facing our country. And at one point during that meeting, I began to lose my composure. And I had to excuse myself and leave the room just to stop myself from weeping. Here I was, someone who hadn't wept since childhood, unable to speak about the state of our democracy without coming to tears. How did I get there? I was answering a question that brought me back to a moment last year when I was traveling in Spain with my then 12-year-old daughter, Emily. At some point, our tour guide from Barcelona turned to us and said that she used to visit America all the time and loved it. But she continued, telling us that she refuses to return because of what she called the evil of those in power and the evil of our government. That reality was painful enough. But what brought me to tears was remembering my daughter's face in that moment as she heard that. A child in a foreign country, truly learning for the first time that some people now view her identity as an American as something abhorrent, that her home was seen as an enemy to the very values she has been taught were inherent to America. The shattering of her innocence, the confusion that it created for her, that reality was too much for me that morning in Plattsburgh. And for the first time in decades, I found myself in tears. Yes, all of us, and our country are weeping with a profound sorrow. We cry for our immigrant neighbors ripped from their homes. We cry for children torn from schools and playgrounds. We cry for soldiers told they may be sent abroad, not to confront an enemy, but to threaten friend and ally. We cry for families going hungry because the basics of life are too expensive. We cry for those struggling with depression because they are told that who they are or who they love is immoral or aberrant. We cry for our brothers and sisters gunned down in the streets of America simply for standing up for justice. And we collectively cry for our children who may never know America as the sweet land of liberty they were promised. Yes, our nation is weeping with a profound sorrow. But even in the abyss of this pain, we must cling to hope. The hope that the tears of this nation will one day wash away hatred and bigotry. Because our sorrow is not weakness. It is our strength. Our capacity for compassion allows us to connect with our neighbors, to cross ideological divides, and to pursue fundamental shared goals. Because despite what this administration would have us believe, there is far more that unites us as Americans than divides us. Hope springs from that profound truth. But hope is never easy. Hope cannot be passive. Hope is not the idea that things will simply work out. Hope is the idea that we can build a better tomorrow than today if we are willing to work for it and to fight for it. And that is why we are all here tonight. However, it is easy to feel hopeful in a room full of friends. But democracy demands more of us. When we leave here tonight, we must remember that truth, that there is more that unites us than divides us. We are called to remind our neighbors of that truth, including those that may have supported the current administration in the last election. This is the work that hope demands of us all. We must share our vision with our neighbors and explain that the solutions we are fighting for are not merely democratic solutions. They are American solutions. We are fighting not only for ourselves, but for them. So after we leave here tonight, let us remind every neighbor in the North Country, Republican, Democrat, and Independent, that if you care about the rising cost of health care, you have a home with us. If you care about the diminishing quality of life, you have a home with us. If you believe our national strength comes from building relationships with allies, not destroying them, you have a home with us. If you feel life has become too expensive, you have a home with us. If you believe all people deserve to live freely and love openly, you have a home with us. If you believe both parties have failed over the decades to fix our broken immigration system, you stand with us. And if you believe that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, then you belong with us. This is the message we are called to carry beyond this room tonight. And yes, our nation is weeping with a profound sorrow. But righteousness is our sword and shield. And we must remember, the light of this nation cannot and will not be extinguished by the darkness of this administration. Righteousness and democracy will triumph. God bless all of us. God bless democracy. And God bless the United States of America. Thank you.